Federal Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault gone to China, where he is meeting with an organ of the Communist Party, which I guess has some environmental policy role, and advising them. He actually, in fact, he was warned by the Chinese Communist Party's mouthpiece, the Global Times. They warned him against being condescending, quote unquote. I'm assuming that translates to Chinese. I'll hope they got that right. Condescending. They told him not to be condescending in discussions to accelerate China's own carbon neutrality plans, which are set for 2060. A bit later than Stephen Guilbeault's of 2030 or 2035, whatever that is, which is far below the Paris Accord and what Guilbeault was imposing on Alberta. So we haven't heard him say anything about China's 2060 carbon neutrality plan, but he certainly has words for Alberta saying, no, we're not doing 2035. But then he went after Suncor. So Suncor, obviously big oil sands giant, they're selling their wind farms and solar stuff to concentrate on what makes them money, things that aren't just subsidy machines, namely oil sands. And so this is what Stephen Guilbeault had to say about Suncor. To see the leader of a great Canadian company say that he basically disengaged from climate change and sustainability, that he's going to focus on short-term profits, it's all the wrong answers. If I was convinced before that what we needed to do was regulate, I'm even more convinced now. So he has convinced himself even more that he is right. That is the sign of a good liberal. So he is confounded that a for-profit company is prioritizing making a profit, something that Mr. Guilbeault and the overwhelming majority of Liberal cabinet ministers have never actually had to do at any point in their lives. He's confounded that they would actually try to make a profit and focus on the profitable parts of their business. But yeah, he did that where he's out in China with the China Council for International Cooperation on Environment and Development, where he is the co-chair. And just for clarity, that is an actual organ of the Chinese government and Communist Party. This is not an international organization where China's just there. This is a Chinese communist organization. I don't think any of this is really surprising. The Liberals have a really creepy soft spot for the Chinese Communist Party. So soft that the Chinese Communist Party has seen it as advantageous to aid them in interfering in elections. But I don't know. Is there anything unusual about Guilbeault doing this overseas while in China, meeting with the Chinese Communist Party, the biggest polluter on the planet, whose carbon neutrality goals are 2060, and he has apparently not said anything about? Is the circumstance of this a little out for Guilbeault?
Oh, of course it is. I mean, you pretty much said it all, Derek. It's an outrageous situation. It's outrageous that the man occupies a post in another government. It's one thing to be a member of an international organization. It's another to actually be part of that government, another government's. It happens to be China. It wouldn't be any better if it was Monaco. You just don't. It means split loyalty is always the perception of shredded interests. So that's the first thing. But Mr. Guilbeault, frankly, is almost becoming a caricature of himself. Everything that he does is just slightly crazy. And the idea of going to China...
Slightly? You're being very polite today.
Well, look, we're going to get to Charlie Angus later. But the man is obviously single-minded, obsessive about his chosen passion, which is climate change, and nothing else matters to him. A senior politician and environment minister is senior. A senior politician needs to be able to operate across the spectrum. He can think of nothing else. And go over there and chastise a Canadian company from foreign soil is the height of disloyalty. You don't do that sort of thing. You just keep that within the family. But there it is. He's nuts.
Curry, Guilbeault not saying anything, at least that we know of so far, about China's genuinely appalling environmental record. Even if you are on the climate train, 2060 is a less ambitious goal than even Alberta. We're saying 2050. China's saying 2060. Whatever, potato, potato. But less ambitious than even Alberta's goal. Do you think are Canadians going to see this in anything other than just Guilbeault cares about environment? Is that going to be kind of the main headline coming out of this, or is the fact that he's attacking a Canadian company for having the audacity to focus on profit, which they have a fiduciary duty to do? Do you think this is going to be anything beyond just the regular headlines of Guilbeault hits it company? Does it add to it substantively for average Canadians to think that he's doing this while operating as an arm of the Chinese Communist Party, as a part of the the China Council for International Cooperation on Environment and Development?
I think that just the fact that he was sitting on that panel alone, I mean, that already made headlines when it was found that he was going to it, and that kind of hit across the country. As far as his fight with Suncor, I think that's just going to be more regional, and he knows it. It's going to infuriate us in the West. They don't care. If anything, it's advantageous to them. And it shows a difference in attitude. I mean, that's why he's so mortified with Suncor. But companies like Suncor have been put in the corner. What they're saying is, we've gotten no benefit, no thank yous, nothing for this virtue signaling we've done for years. We've tried to play by your rules. We try carbon capture. We buy into the renewables, and still you keep moving the goalposts and saying you're going to shut us down. Well, to heck with you. We're going to focus on, selling oil. That's what we do, and we're not going to apologize for it anymore. And I think it's just the beginnings of a bigger showdown, though.